Welcome back to Risque Business News. I'm your host, Laura.
And I'm May.
And today we are talking about a light, airy topic, the Unabomber. Ted Kaczynski, if you were watching the news, he just died by suicide in prison, in jail at 81 years old. So we are going to take an opportunity to reflect on he's had quite the life. The daddy of all incels rallied against the industrial complex. That's our loose business tie.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I was like, how does this have anything to do with
it? It actually does have. He really hates specifically the logging industry.
Oh,
and a lot of the universities and systems and stuff like that. So there are definitely ties to like money.
Good. Okay.
Because I know it's like really strict. I know you guys would just riot otherwise. Anyway, enjoy.
Where's the money? I don't understand how you make money.
Hold on.
From that, though.
2 stand-up comics in New York City.
Just learned a lot of this stuff. I'm going to ask all the stupid questions that you might be thinking at home, but are afraid to ask people.
Making it to where you feel like you're too stupid to be able to ever engage in it, they win.
Why the fuck are they doing this?
It's to make money. It's Risque Business News.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
I know. I was just well, at first I was like just reading about it because I was interested because he just died. I was like, who the fuck was that? Because I didn't really remember. I was like, oh yeah, Unabomber. Like I kind of know about him, and then I was like, oh yeah, this actually would qualify.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, if the Real Housewives qualify, actually they're doing real business too.
Yeah, they are.
He had a direct-to-consumer mail business.
Okay.
D2C marketing.
That sounds like a Real Housewives thing, and then they end up in jail somehow.
Exactly. He was the ultimate Real Housewife.
Right.
Fuck. I think we're already back in.
Okay, we're already back in.
You're back.
I'm back. I was gone for what, like 10 days, 11 days?
Other side of the world. That might as well be outer space.
Truly. So I went to Australia, and I'll be honest with you, I did not have high hopes going into Australia because I was sort of like, oh, it's just gonna be like a fucking like big California kind of thing.
It does.
You know what I mean?
It does have that kind of rep where you're like, I've been to like Joshua Tree.
Yeah, I was like, I get it, whatever. And it was really, really nice. If it weren't legitimately on the other side of the world, I would consider living there.
One note, Australia, you're too far away.
Way too far away.
Have you considered being closer? Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's insane because like I think about the Australians that moved from there to here. First of all, I'm like, why? It's gorgeous there and everything runs perfectly and everyone's super nice.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm like, how do you talk to your mom? Like literally you would have to plan days in advance. Then your mom might like get the day wrong and like, it's
you have
crazy.
to really schedule it for sure. No, it's very difficult. I mean, even like just briefly texting with you, I was like, oh, there's like a 2-hour window in which everyone's like awake at the same time and then good night.
And then exactly.
Or me, good night.
Yeah, it was so weird. I know I'm going through that now with Mark because he's still there. And so
he is.
Yeah, we were texting at like 6 a.m.
Oh my God. Wait, so you spent 20 hours coming back solo?
Yes.
Whoa. I guess that's kind of nice for a little quiet time. You're just like,
yeah. I don't know about I think this is true for you because you've texted me from planes crying before, but
all the time.
What is it about planes that make me cry? I swear I weeped for about 20 hours.
Yes. I watch multiple movies in a row and I'll find something to cry about in every movie. Something about me. Yeah. I'm going to cry at a Jennifer Lopez movie.
Oh, yeah.
All of them. I'm going to Colombia this weekend and I'm looking forward, frankly, to weeping.
Oh, that's going to be great. You're going to be weeping.
I'm going to be weeping on the plane with all the all the people on the trip are on the same flight as me. So they're just going to watch me crying at like ants or something. Well,
Sorry, I'm a little sick if you hear my nasty ass laugh in this microphone.
She came back with some like COVID variant from
I brought it to Australia and everyone I talked to is patient
perfect
0.
and I'll bring it to Colombia. It's
okay, good.
It's good.
It's a global
we
effort
will definitely
here.
remove this part. If Kim is like, I did actually have COVID. Holy shit.
Oh my God. Or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
it's going to be called like Rabid 19 or Rabid 23 or something.
Kangaroo 69 and that's the new one.
Oh God, my voice is horrible on this. I will, ironically on this comedy podcast, I'm going to try to laugh as little as possible. How about that?
Well, we are discussing like a mass murderer.
That's true.
But honestly, there were definitely things I was LOLing at about his life.
Okay.
Should we get into it? And I mean, I think you are literally fresh off the plane here.
So
we will review Australia maybe in more depth when.
Yes, yeah, because I have some funny things to say about Australia, but I will do that at the next.
When your voice is.
Yeah.
When you can giggle.
when I can giggle.
It's really important. All right, well, let's get into this guy, Ted Kaczynski. Heard of him? He is dead now.
Do you think that he was quote unquote suicided or suicide?
I think he killed himself.
Okay.
Just gauging on what I know about him now, I'm like, this guy, I'm surprised, honestly, it took him this long.
Well, how'd he do it?
He has problems. I don't know, actually. And I will say, I don't think they've released that yet, or at least it wasn't any of the articles that I saw, because this literally happened. We're recording this on Monday, and this happened over the weekend.
Yeah, because you got to be pretty creative in jail.
It's hard. They really don't want you to.
They really don't want you
They're
to.
really insistent on you being alive. The
Yeah.
taxpayers are expecting to pay
Yes.
for your food while you're in here, so you better stay alive, man. But this is him. Look he's kind of a cute little guy.
Yeah, he's not bad looking.
He's not bad looking at all.
Could you imagine having a crush on him and then finding out that he ended up being the Unabomber? I would be like, whoa.
Well, here's little peek behind the scenes. He has problems with women and people.
You don't say.
And people, believe it or not a strong social
compass. He's not an easy guy where you just hit it off immediately.
He wasn't life of the party.
Yeah.
He wasn't just sales
He
101.
wasn't?
No.
He wasn't in sales?
Wasn't a politician over here. He was fucking weird as shit. We'll get into it. So a little bit of background on him. He was born in 1942 to two Polish-American working class people. So not from wealth or anything like that. His dad was actually a sausage maker, which is such a Polish-American job.
It really is.
So Polish-American in Chicago. I love him.
Yeah,
It's kind of an endearing backstory.
It is an endearing backstory.
His strange behavior started as a kid, and I will preface this with the fact that I think everything that's happened in his life has been revisited with a fine-tooth comb.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, he's a psychiatrist wet dream.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? This guy's out of control. So some of the stuff that they reference, I'm like, this feels like a stretch. For instance, feels like maybe we're reading a little too much into this, but he did mail bombs to people. So who's to say? I guess when he was 9 months old as a baby, he got some sort of weird rash And
it's like diaper rash.
Yeah.
He had diaper rash.
But it was the 40s, so they were like, it's the bubonic plague.
It's the devil.
The devil's on your ass. Get him in the hospital. And so he did. He was put in the hospital and taken from his parents for a week at 9 months old, and they were only able to visit him twice for an hour within the course of that week.
Okay.
Feels pretty rote. I don't know.
Yeah. And also,
I'm
sure
sure
you're 9 months old. You don't have any memories of that.
Right? Anyway, psychiatrists would disagree. They said that this triggered his strange socialization and abandonment issues.
Like cat hair in my mouth. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Continue.
Welcome back. Greg's been missing you. This is Greg's room.
It is
his guest room. Yeah, he stays over here. Anyway, so that triggered his strange socialization and abandonment issues. Cool.
I don't know about that one. I don't think I'm buying that one.
I don't think I'm buying that one either. But again, to be fair, he did have pretty intense issues later on. So
That's
who's
true.
to say?
You're right.
Who's to say? But as a result, maybe he just ended up being a very obedient, diligent kid. Again, the theory was he had abandonment issues and he wanted to obey and be liked by his parents. They wouldn't leave him again. Mm-hmm. But he didn't leave you. You had a rash.
You had a fucking weird ass rash.
Yeah.
Everybody hated it.
Everyone was looking and pointing and saying, ew.
Yeah, everyone said
You're
no.
9 months old. Get in the hospital.
Yeah, you're gross. You're supposed to have the best skin of your life at 9 months
Yeah,
old.
you
Everybody
literally
knows that.
Skin of a baby.
Baby's bottom, not rashy bottom. Get it right.
Fucking idiot out the gate. Anyway, so he was extremely smart. There is no denying this guy was a genius. He skipped the 6th grade. And here's the thing about skipping grades. It's not, I don't know if I would recommend it for people. Because it's there's elements of how you grow, and mentally he was able to do the coursework no problem of the grade above him.
Yeah.
But socially he was still young.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And you need to look at things more holistically, and then he's always going to be an outsider because he's always going to be the one that's younger than everyone else.
Absolutely. And there was actually, I didn't include this, but one of the articles I was reading, they were saying that he was a normal kid until he skipped the grade, and then he had really struggled, was getting bullied by the older kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a tough spot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel bad for him then. But he got put in the gifted program, and this is kind of funny. One of the things that this gifted program specifically did was they were like this like club of like, you know, smart kids, and they would play small pranks on one another, specifically chemistry experiments in which most of the kids in this gifted program would like create small explosions, like harmless little like cute like little
Oh
like
God, they're teaching him how to make a bomb.
So what this motherfucker does, so Ted is like, we're making explosions. That'll make me like cool. Like are we exploding stuff, guys?
Oh fuck.
And he worked with, I guess, a wrestler was asking for his help to prank a girl. I'm guessing it was some sort of like, we'll prank her. This is like the 40s too.
Yeah,
so
right.
We'll prank her, and then she'll be sweet on me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, of
and
course.
Ted is like, bet. All right, let's go.
And the lassie will undo her dress.
Yeah, she'll show me her bosom.
Yeah.
And so Ted is
It's like your theory with you think you could beat the boys in the mile fucking run, and you're like, well, that will make them love me.
they will love me, and instead they were like, you're gross. You're disgusting.
You're gross and you're so tall.
Yeah, I really hate you. I actually find you a threat to my masculinity. We're going to run with that theme. Anyway, so Ted did the same thing. He was like, I want the wrestler and this girl, like this whole, it wasn't even for him. It was for the wrestler to like the girl. But he wanted to help. And so he made an explosion that was so powerful. It caused hearing loss in the girl.
Oh my God.
Ted!
No.
Ted, cool it.
You gotta relax.
You gotta rein it in.
But did she sue the school like that other kid did?
It was the 40s. I don't think they had lawyers yet. I think
funny.
that came later on.
That's crazy.
It was like certainly a red flag.
Yes.
It's certainly out the gate.
Right.
Like, I mean, and I will be honest, like, of course, teenagers get into like scraps all the time, but it's pretty funny in retrospect. Like, he really studied up. He really Breaking Bad at it.
Truly.
He continued to study how to make more of those bombs.
Oh yeah, he got real good at it.
He got pretty good.
Here.
He went pro. He really struggled to fit in though, and he actually then ended up skipping another grade. And between that and some summer school, he graduated super early, 15 years old, which isn't that like?
That's
like
really early. That's like 3 years early.
That's what I thought.
Because I graduated when I was like 17 and a half or whatever the fuck.
Right, and then so
and then by the time I'm in college, I was
right.
I was 18.
So 15 is super young, and then he went to Harvard on scholarship.
Wow.
So this guy's like, he's not messing around. He's extremely smart, and he's coming from like a poor family, so it's a really big deal.
That's crazy.
It's cool. Like, I mean, he had a really bright future at this point. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's certain people that are just too smart for their own good. I mean, that's like a real thing. It really is.
This guy really personifies that. He was super, and I mean, I think the trend here is that he was super emotionally immature, even if intellectually he was like unbelievably gifted.
Yeah.
And he could handle the courses, and that it wasn't like he all of a sudden at 15 was like, all right, yeah, I'm ready for college.
No, that's crazy.
And also, this is like now in the 50s or whatever, where it not like nowadays where I think if you go to Harvard, they have like a lot of different programs and stuff like that. There's maybe people represented from other communities. There weren't many poor people there.
Yeah, that's
it was
true.
Very much
that's
a high society thing. Not that many people went to college, period.
Right.
So like when he went there, he really struggled to fit in. Like he was poor. You had to wear suit and tie, and his were like shitty like fitting and stuff like that. So he really, really struggled. And this certainly didn't help. This is when I really started paying attention because I was like, hold on, what? Have you heard of MKUltra?
I have heard of it, but I have absolutely no idea what it is.
Okay, I did not know anything either. Guys, you're gonna like look back at this episode and be like, this is when Laura went off the deep end.
Okay.
Laura like put on a tinfoil hat and she's gone.
I'm gonna alert the police to this exact timestamp.
Right, yeah, like just note the time and then put it around. Anyway, so he's in Harvard and he enrolls in a psychological experiment led by Henry Murray, who is like a professor there, which was going on 22 different undergrads. And what Henry was saying was that he was going to have them come in and write out like a passionate like essay on a core philosophy that they held true to them as people, as students. And remember, these are like Harvard young kids, like these, you know, like they're really passionate about They're not.
And they're so sure of themselves, and you're like, shut up.
They have gotten where they are. Exactly. They're not jaded yet. They're not like, I mean, whatever. Like, I guess I believe in this or some shit. They're like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is a core belief to me. And then the concept was that fellow students were going to like debate them on this or like talk to them about this. This is like what they were brought in thinking the psychological study was, and they would attach electrodes to their brains to like to like see the brain function as they're going through this conversation.
Okay.
Logically, I can kind of understand where that's coming from, right? Well, that is not what happened, and this is actually fucking crazy and probably could be its entire own podcast series, and probably is actually. So I'm definitely not going to do this whole story justice, but Henry Murray's this study was, I guess, part of MKUltra, was this thing from the CIA. I'll talk more about that in a second. And what they actually had was a researcher who was the fellow student debating them, who would, like, for over an hour, viciously mock the kid who had written the essay on his core beliefs and explain why it was, like, all wrong. He was an idiot. And how, like, personally like rip him apart for everything that he had written about and why it was like morally objectable, like all of these terrible things about it.
Wow.
No matter what the perspective was, they really wanted to just like go in there and rip them down.
To see how their brains would react, or like,
I don't know. I guess the high level response was that they wanted to see individuals' response to extreme stress.
Okay.
And they were submitted to what was called vehement, sweeping, and personally abusive attacks, specifically tailored to assault their ego, cherished ideas, and beliefs that were used to cause the highest levels possible of stress and distress. After, so this would be like initially, then they would film them, and then they would show them the film of them reacting and then mock them for their reactions.
Oh my God.
It's like pretty insane.
And the purpose of this is what? Like, what the fuck?
They did this weekly to him for 3 years.
Oh my God.
And these are like, you have to remember also, he's like 15 years old. So it's not like he's at a certain level where your brain is like more solid and you're going through a lot of literal brain transformations at that point.
Right.
It's a very susceptible time. A lot of the references to this study, I think like Joe Rogan talked about this in one of his episodes. Like I saw some of the shorts on it, where they said that they were administering LSD during this study too, which obviously would make it insanely worse.
Yeah, way worse, especially like if he's susceptible to any sort of, well, I mean, that's insane to give somebody drugs without them knowing, obviously.
Yeah.
But then secondly, if he's susceptible to like schizophrenia or mental illness of any kind, which like clearly based on what he did later yes.
On. Right.
Then that could like exacerbate the problem.
Yeah. Though I will say chicken or the egg. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So I didn't find any official documentation on the LSD being administered, but it's like a fairly well-known theory. I figured I'd bring it up.
Or whatever.
And there's definitely use of it in other parts of this. And his code name in the research was Lawful, because he was known to be really like rule abiding, which is so sad.
I know.
This part's like pretty heartbreaking. I don't know. There's not a lot of details known about this study because after
it's really unflattering for our government.
Fucking illegal too. You can't just torture kids.
Right.
You're not allowed to do that, believe it or not. And after Watergate, they destroyed a number of these documents, and then the remainder of them were sealed, which can we just go ahead and talk about? There's so many records that get sealed. Why do we let that happen?
Like which ones?
Like all of these like things that are cover-ups from like the political stuff. Like a lot of these documents only recently were released like in the early 2000s because of the Freedom of Information Act, which allows us to go and say, hey, you can't just seal it and then say we are sealed. I don't know what you want me to do about this.
I'm picturing like a literal seal.
Yeah.
And they're like, we already laminated the seal. Sorry.
We licked it. It's really expensive. I don't know. We can't open it. Shelly is the one who opens it, and she's on vacay. She's on PTO.
Permanently on PTO.
Yeah, she's on PTO. She just can't get it. And then, so the U.S. citizens were like, no, you're gonna have to fucking open that. You're gonna have to go get that. But a lot of the documents around this and part of MKUltra as a whole were destroyed. because this was super illegal by the CIA, and there were a lot of reviews into it, and it's actually the basis for a ton of conspiracy theories, and then linked over to like people believing in like the Illuminati and stuff. Which, listen, I think you can probably take this one might guess a little bit far. A little bit far. However, they certainly, what we can absolutely say is that something was not okay.
Something was up.
Something was up, and I don't like it. My official stance, not a fan. Ted himself said that he didn't think these experiments actually did anything to him, but one might argue. Listen, one might go ahead and review his later actions and say, perhaps
Something went awry.
I'm going to go ahead and say maybe the 3 years of illegal CIA torture that you went on at Harvard maybe didn't sit quite right.
Probably not great.
Especially when you went and killed multiple people later on in your life. But I'm glad that you go off, King. Whatever. So MKUltra, I referenced it a couple different times. It was an illegal human experimentation program designed and undertaken by the US CIA, intended to develop procedures and identify drugs that could be used during interrogations to weaken people and force confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture.
Oh my God.
It's fucking crazy, dude. The CIA project was a continuation of the work that began in World War II era Japanese facilities and Nazi camps.
Oh.
On subduing and controlling human minds. Their use of mescaline, which is like a psychedelic, so like those kind of chemicals on unwitting subjects, was a practice that Nazi doctors had begun at Auschwitz.
Holy shit.
And the U.S. was like, well, we love what you did with that.
Yeah. We're not a big fan of the whole like sending them to the gas chambers, but we can psychologically torment them.
We will give
that
them
we like.
Different kind of drug.
And they still like it.
Yes.
The
fucking
CIA.
Yikes.
I've been on this side of TikTok recently that's like definitely not healthy for me, but whatever. But where it's like it'll be like just some guy that's like, oh, every time that you say the government would never do that, look at this.
I've been on that for like 3 years now. That was like the first TikTok they sent me. I created an account. It's like fucking cat video. It's like, oh, this bitch is gonna want to see the government doing some shady shit. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly the content I'm here for.
Oh my God. The government, dude. You can't trust them, turns out.
This group of people, it's just people. People are shady, turns out. That's if I've learned anything in this podcast, it's people are shady. Anyway, fucking yikes. It began in 1953 and was halted in 1973. It used numerous methods to manipulate its subjects' mental states, including administering high doses of LSD and other chemicals without consent. They did electroshocks, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse.
Oh my God, what?
And other forms of torture. They really fucking went in. Again, this is one of the areas where I know there's plenty more to review.
Oh yeah, sounds like it.
I'm fairly certain they used a lot of minority groups, unfortunately, as part of this.
That's probably why he was selected, because his came from a poor family.
Oh, maybe.
Because they're not gonna
do
this to somebody who's like comes from the fucking Rockefellers.
Oh my God, I'm an idiot.
You know what I mean?
I did not put that together at all.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It was probably just like the least influential families at that school. Their kids got chosen.
It was the scholarship kids. That's guys. Listen, a hot take. I don't think this was a good thing for them to do.
It was not very nice.
This was not cool. I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs down. Anyway, LSD in specific, they were really into that. I think this is also part of the reason that, like, you know, if you're doing these kind of crazy ass experiments, then afterwards they got really strict about the drug laws around all this.
Yeah, they know something.
Yeah, it was weird. Sidney Gottlieb, I guess, is the chemist who directed MKUltra, and he thought LSD could be used in covert operations. Since its effects are temporary, he believed it could be, like, you know, given to high-ranking officials and impact the course of important meetings and speeches, which genuinely means that he thought in war, because this was during the Cold War, so he thought, like, in our fight against Russia, we could slip a tab of acid to Putin or whomever, and he would be tripping balls during a speech, and that would help us win the Cold War.
That makes sense.
This is this sounds like he was on acid when he came up with this plan.
And then jump forward, whatever it is, 70 years, whatever the fuck. And we have a president who's doing that without the LSD.
Doesn't need to.
Yeah, doesn't need to.
He's just I'm gonna do it raw.
Yeah.
Also, like Putin, maybe they were successful because him like being obsessed with like being shirtless on like horses.
Shirtless on horses.
Putin riding a horse shirtless does feel like an acid trip.
It really does. Could you imagine if there was there's fucking obviously hilarious photos of all presidents, but it's so fucking funny to think about, like Biden on a horse shirtless.
If that showed up, if we had this equivalent picture of Biden, load. Oh, it's a video. Thank fucking God. No, I don't want to see him in an. Come on. This is why you can't go to the New York Post. They don't give you the good shit. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Look at him. He looks pretty good.
He's not like
that is an acid trip right there. I say, is that if I was standing in Siberia or wherever this does, and I look over and I go, is that
Vladimir Putin?
Is that Vladimir Putin shirtless on this horse?
I would say yes.
And he's wearing like those Republican glasses.
Oh, the
like those
oh my God, Oakleys.
Oakleys.
Those are the Republican glasses. They really are.
The second you vote for Republican, they just hand them out. They just give you a pair. They go, you gotta put this
and then
on.
also the hats with the big curve.
Yeah.
And the Republican glasses. And then Ford F-150.
And your Facebook picture is just
yeah.
in that outfit.
Yes.
In your truck. You can't take it anywhere else. It's illegal. It's not allowed.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
That's so funny. The Republican glasses. And everyone knows exactly what you're
100%.
talking.
It's Oakley's. I mean, I'm sure at this point they've probably. Here's the thing. I bet Oakley's is like what I know about the company. I doubt they started like conservative.
No.
It's kind of a beach group, right? Like bros.
I think so. And then also, it's supposed to be like a sporting sunglasses thing. Like you're doing you're wakeboarding. You need some sunglasses to like stay on your face. And no.
And now it's like you just got from the voting polls where you kept illegals from getting in there.
Correct.
You've been very busy all day.
You have a Confederate flag.
You got to hang it up.
Yeah.
You have your trad wife.
Trad wife.
My trad wife is at home and I got to get home. But first I got to take a new Facebook profile picture.
Put it on Tinder.
And then like
a trad wife.
Talk shit about women on the internet. Ideally in our YouTube comments.
Yeah, please.
I will still take your comments, please. So any of these people who are listening to us, welcome. We welcome you. Anyway, where were we? Okay, so this fucking killed me. So anyway, they were doing a lot of experimentation with LSD, and they realized there was a difference in testing that in a laboratory versus out in the wild.
Okay.
Obviously, like if you do drugs like in a sterile environment versus like when you're at the beach.
Yeah, it's going to be a different.
We know. Experience. So they would give them to people in normal settings, and there was a point where CIA operatives were being drugged with no explanation whatsoever, and surprise acid trips became something of an occupational hazard for working at the CIA.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, can you imagine you're at work and all of a sudden you're like, did fucking someone... Am I about to trip balls for the rest of God up? Here we go.
Oh my God.
And that like was a real problem. A guy died.
Oh my
because
God.
of it. Yeah, they gave one guy hit during his like they put it in his morning coffee, like a high dose. Yeah. And he like kind of went crazy and went running into like the streets. And
shit.
And he like ended up passing away. I think he may have gotten hit by a car or something. I didn't look
wow.
into it. But they were like, you gotta stop drugging. You gotta stop giving acid to
your employees.
Everybody who works
without notice.
At the CIA.
Yeah.
HR was like, we didn't think we needed to say this, but I thought that this was a given.
This was implied.
I didn't think we needed to put it in the handbook. But you shouldn't. You really need to stop doing that to the new guys. Anyway, so that was happening. He goes through all that. He does graduate. He gets his degree. He goes on and gets, I think, like a PhD or something along those lines in mathematics. He's fucking brilliant at mathematics. He wrote a dissertation, Boundary Functions, which won a prize at University of Michigan for the best mathematics dissertation of the year.
Ooh, imagine reading those. Oof. I would be like, I would just read one and be like, whatever, this gets fucking dissertation of the year. I can't go through it. I cannot read these any longer.
I mean, this one absolutely is the best. I don't even need to read another one to know that this one was absolutely the best.
That sounds so fucking painful.
Really tough. Really,
really boring.
really tough. Anyway,
a math letter, basically.
Big ass essay.
You know who would fucking love it?
Matt.
Is Matthew Broussard.
Matthew Broussard. Oh yeah, he was trying to be like, so you really got to talk about on this episode, like how good he was at math. And I was like, yeah, I think I got it.
That's the juicy aspect. That's the torrid information that everybody wants to know.
Like really make sure like everyone knows that, like, you know, he was
Salacious.
like really, I was like, no one fucking, I mean, I think we covered it. I think that we just covered it right there.
Yeah.
He was really good at math, like really good. You guys got it?
Great.
All right, we got it. They did say though that his dissertation was like, one of the guys said, quote, the best I've ever directed, which you direct a dissertation? I'm clearly not involved.
Yeah, I don't know.
No one's asking me for a dissertation.
I've never written a dissertation. I never want to read a dissertation.
Vaguely know what they are.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, what is it? Like, it's just a big, like, pompous, like, here's my...
And then you get it published, and then people can reference it as, like, a citation. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I want my name at the bottom. It's basically so that at the end of other people's works, they can reference your work.
Right.
And you, like, advance
But then it's like, where did I get my work?
Yeah, you made it up. Listen, it's a Ponzi scheme. I think they're laundering money.
They must be laundering money, these dissertation people.
Let them get you, folks.
I don't know how, because I don't even know what a fucking dissertation is, but they are. Okay.
Pretty sure. I guess this guy said, this one was like really fucking good. I guess he said, I would guess that maybe 10 or 12 men, obviously men, in the country understood or appreciated it. And no women. I just want to emphasize 0 women. Their brains are too small.
Too small, too smooth.
Too small, too smooth. Okay. Anyway, after this, he's 25 years old now, and he became an assistant professor at Cal Berkeley, where he taught mathematics.
Oh my God, this man was a fucking professor.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And then later on, a year later, he became an assistant professor, so he like was on track for tenure. Like he was getting promoted. That's a real ass role, good career. Like he had it, he was good. Like he was set. Like just do that. Just do that.
Just do that.
Just do that. Relax. Like fuck, stop bombing people. Ted, if I have one note for you. Cool it with the bombs. He apparently sucked
Stop getting rashes.
Stop getting rashes. That's problem number 1. If your kid has a rash, you got issues.
Can I tell you how funny it is that they listed those very benign things at the top, and then it turns out the CIA was mentally torturing him, and I'm like, I think that might be the one. Yes. I don't think it was the diaper rash. In hindsight.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I think it was the 3 years of psychological torture where they destroyed the documents around this whole thing because it was so bad.
And we're drugging him with lethal doses of LSD. That makes more sense to me.
Or it was the diaper rash.
Or it was the diaper rash. One of those things. Making of a monster.
Anyway, he was not good at teaching. I mean, most fair part of this whole thing. Apparently, he was not well liked by his students, and he seemed uncomfortable teaching, taught straight from the textbook, and refused to answer questions.
To answer questions?
That would be my teaching style right there. We're like, you guys get it, right?
Yeah.
This is a dissertation, write one. I don't
know.
Don't ask me what it is. I have no idea. But you guys got it. Okay. I'm going to read one of them. He quit. He did not want to do that. That's actually also super fair. But again, like your alternate was not cool. He resigned on June 30th, 1969. Weird that I have the exact date. At 27 years old. And he had actually been reconnecting with his brother, David Kaczynski, at this point, who becomes a bigger role later on. Or he was always a big role, but he becomes bigger in the story. And they'd been talking a lot about their love of nature. And so Ted decides that he wants to go live off the grid. So he moves back in with his parents for a while he tries to get this organized, and he applies to get this like land permit for this plot of land in Canada. They have a lot of land up there. And while he's in this process, he starts writing really long letters to the local newspaper, just shitting on the logging industry.
Oh.
Like, he fucking hates the logging industry. He really had a bone to pick specifically with the logging industry.
What was his bone?
I don't know because I didn't read about it, but I would imagine it's something about the cutting down of the trees. And he hated noise. I think he might have had some like issues. Like,
Yeah.
he really didn't like how much noise things would make. It was referenced a number of times.
Interesting.
Like, irrational responses to loud noises.
There's like something well, I don't know if that's the exact same thing, but there is something where people cannot listen to other people chewing, and it like drives them like to madness.
Oh, maybe
Like, it's
he had
more
that.
so than just like, oh, this is really annoying. I don't like the way that they chew. It's like crazy.
Right. Is it maybe after they were tortured by the CIA for 3 years
Maybe.
that comes up? He wanted to move to Canada to like go and like live in the land, and that got rejected. Canada was like, get the fuck out of here.
Really?
We're not gonna.
Good
no.
for them.
Good for them. I know.
They're like, listen, we have these documents from the CIA, and we know what you've been through.
Yeah, I think we're gonna leave you in the USA.
You are a ticking time bomb, my dude.
He was super depressed as a result. So then he ended up moving out, and he went to Montana, which also same thing. It's basically Canada, buddy. Especially
really
if you're living
is.
in the woods. Like, it is effective. It's honestly easier, a little, like a hair easier.
Yeah, just move there.
What are you doing? So he built a 10 by 12 foot cabin with no
Wow, that is
electricity or
really
running
small.
water, and in the woods in Montana. And he would only go to the small town nearby to go to the library. He liked to read and to get newspapers, and his parents would help send him money to help fund this. Super fun fact: I have seen that cabin.
Why?
Because it was at the Newseum. I don't know how to pronounce it. In DC
Really?
a couple years ago. That museum has now since gone under.
Oh, damn.
It was genuinely the best museum I've ever gone to.
Fuck. Why'd it close?
I think there was something with funding, but also like, I don't know. It closed under Trump, and it was a museum dedicated to news and journalism that promoted free expression and the First Amendment.
Oh, well.
Just, whatever.
Yeah.
Read between the lines, folks.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of it was on like a lot of like stuff about like terrorism. It was really interesting. They had a piece
Yeah,
of
that sounds very
it
interesting.
was very interesting. There was a big thing on 9/11, which is obviously super sad. They had like pieces of the Berlin Wall, and then they had Ted Kaczynski's cabin.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
It was-
Can I see a photo of the cabin?
Yeah, let's
Maybe we can check it out. What did he have? He had nothing in there. He was just like nasty.
It couldn't have been more bare. Yeah, here this is exactly the exhibit. Yeah.
Wow.
And he
How
was
did he not
he was
freeze to death in there?
They had a wood stove, so that was like literally the only way. And the article here is saying Unabomber objects to Newseum cabin display.
Oh my god.
Do you not like your cabin being in the fucking Washington D.C. museum?
I think people didn't like getting bombed.
Yeah, I think you maybe don't really get to, comment. You can comment, but that's it. I don't care.
Wow.
Look how
that
small it is,
so
though.
Small. That's crazy.
It was a really good museum. I'm really sad that it's gone because it was really, really interesting.
Which is also really funny because this would be someone's like dream tiny home now. It's like
Yeah.
really shitty to live like Ted
They're like
Kaczynski.
$300,000 for this salt of the earth. Yeah, really, really interesting exhibit. Other items include John Dillinger's death mask, Patricia Hearst's coat, and the electric chair in which convicted Lindenberg baby kidnapper Bruno Hauptmann was executed.
Wow.
Why was this museum? I don't like it. I wish it was still open.
Yeah, that
Yes.
sounds amazing.
It was really good. Okay, so anyway, so that was where he lived. He was somewhat happy for a little while there, but here we come with the logging companies.
Okay.
Coming in hot. He had bought his place from a logging company and started really having a Karen moment with them.
Okay. I'll say.
Yeah, he really goes in on them. He hated that because they were super noisy. Understandably, they're logging, like you're cutting down trees. And he also had a conservationist component to it where he thought that they shouldn't cut down the trees. We get it, Ted. Don't try to pretend you're a good person. All right? He's like, yeah, the trees, that's what I'm worried about.
That's the problem.
And he got really pissed about it. He sabotaged a saw by throwing rocks in it. So destroyed like a very expensive piece of their equipment. And then at one point, a motorcyclist passed his cabin, like drove past, and he was so angry at the noise it made when doing so
Oh my God.
that he broke into the guy's house, vandalized it, and shit in his tub.
What? How did they know it was him?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't fact check that one. We're just going to go with that being true. I like it.
That's insane. I think I must have told you this on the pod before, but there was a girl in college who would shit in random places when she got really drunk.
That is absolutely the worst trait you could have.
She pooped.
You cannot be the girl who poops places.
She pooped in a what did she poop in? She pooped in the bathtub,
That's tough.
and it was like a perfect like Hershey,
oh,
like
ew.
yeah.
See,
it was like an ice cream cone poop.
That's weird too.
Yeah.
That's not healthy.
Is it?
No, I don't feel like that's healthy. Are you ice cream coning it?
Oh yeah.
Are we supposed to be ice cream coning?
I don't know. Are you? Whatever.
I feel like this is a lot.
Yeah. Oh, also what's a lot is that so Australia was so fucking like beautiful, clean, pristine. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't one speck of trash anywhere. I get home to my address and in front of my fucking door is a human shit covered in newspapers, flies going everywhere.
Why?
I don't know. Like, you know that little nook when you like go into my building and then you have to push the gate?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you were like, welcome back
Yeah.
to New York.
But people like they chill there a lot. Like I'll try to go
I'm
home.
sure
and
they
it's,
kind of like get in there. And it is like nice and like
it's like a
has its
little
own-
secluded, but anyway.
It was me.
Don't shit there.
It was me. I was like, May's home. Hurry over.
Gotta
Greg, we're going.
give her a gift.
Okay, so anyway, he is over here shitting in tubs, living his best life. If you just left it there, I would have been fine with that. If you need to shit in a few tubs to like, you know,
Sure. You're a little nutty, a little eccentric.
little
You're
eccentric,
shitting in some tubs.
we can handle that as a country. We
Yeah.
we don't need to put you in a museum for that. But he carries on. He got a job briefly working at a truck stop, fell in love with a waitress. By the way, he is not great with women. Shocker. Surprise, surprise.
Didn't see that one coming.
Rather than speaking to her at his job, he quit the job and then sent her a bunch of letters where he was bragging about his academic like accomplishments in order to try to woo her. And she was like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? Who is this? This guy worked here briefly. Like this poor ass woman.
Yeah.
Was just like, what are you talking about?
Good God.
What are you talking about?
Oh
You
my
live
God.
you live in a 10 by 12 woods. Imagine being her and just being like, okay. Uh-huh.
I'd like to know where she's up to now. That must be like really.
Yeah. Well,
fucked.
there's another one that's worse. We'll get there in a second. Anyway, at this point, he starts his manifesto. Yay. I will say this. Terrorists back then, they were better.
Yeah, they were like wordsmiths.
They tried. They actually
Yeah.
like put their fucking whole effort into being like, they had manifestos. Now it's just random. Like, it's like they don't even care about their job of being a
Yeah.
terrorist. Is this offensive? It probably is.
No, well,
It's probably not good for me to say this, but I think you see my point. Like, he had a
he had a vision.
He had a vision, and he executed on the vision with creativity and
through.
style.
Yeah, it was style.
Style.
There was a little bit of style, a little panache.
He had pride.
yeah,
Pride in his work. It wasn't just in a mall somewhere.
right.
He would never.
He didn't meet some guy on the internet and like
No.
and talk about shooting up a place.
Exactly.
He did it all by himself.
I'm
No
just
frills
no
either. No
frills.
frills.
This guy. He loved his work. I'm just saying. I'm gonna get shot.
Oh God.
I'm gonna point back to this episode and be like, "This is where she pissed off the wrong person."
This is where she went crazy. This is where she pissed off the wrong person.
It's been May leaves for 10 days, and I'm like, gone off the deep end. I can't hear out of my left ear. We're fine. Anyway, so he started writing his ideological foundation of Kaczynski's mail bomb campaign, which later turns into his whole manifesto, which is pretty famous. And in it, he wrote this like 20-page paper, which was designed to protect wilderness by hastening. Wait, I'm confused. Oh, okay. So basically, in it, he's shitting on the industrial society.
Okay.
At length in his 20-page paper. He took the first iteration of it to Northwestern and was like, I want to get this published. And they were like, this is really poorly written.
Oh.
And they rejected it. And to be fair, like he hadn't written much beyond math papers. And this is a different kind of
No one's
paper.
reading those.
No one's fucking reading those. Exactly. No, everyone's like, yeah, you totally did a great job. And no one ever read it. You nailed it, buddy. So they rejected it. And they were like, dude, like, you just got to like fix it, you know?
Yeah.
Or like take it to a less prestigious place where like maybe there won't be as much competition. Like there's a lot of people really like, you know, trying here. So then he took it around the corner to University of Illinois at Chicago Circle, and they also rejected it. And the theory is that this series of rejections like kind of triggered back to like the experiments from Harvard where they were like mocking his writing and his like, you know, passionate writings on like what he believed as a person.
Yeah.
It kind of harkened back to his 3 years of CIA torture.
Oh, God.
And certainly didn't put him in a great mental state.
Would have been good if they had known that.
I mean, well, this is crazy. So he didn't react well. And he decided in response to start sending some mail bombs to the professors who rejected his paper.
Oh my God. So that's how
Right?
it started.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
He sent the first mail bombs to the ones at Chicago Circle and Northwestern. This is also like a long time ago, so it's not like the mail system now where it went through a lot of different layers. Like it's hard to mail things in a university.
Right.
And it got opened by a security guard and injured the security guard very badly.
Oh my God.
And
poor guy. He's like, what the fuck?
He's like, I fucking hate my job.
Yeah. Are you serious right now?
Are you actually for real? Like,
Yeah.
I just got bombed. I hate this. And it really started like the terror around it. It was the first iteration and everyone was like, what the fuck was that? And there were no leads, 0 leads at all. They didn't have the technology of today. So there wasn't like a ton of the tracking. They were just like, we have genuinely no idea. The end. And Ted's life changed 0%. Nothing happened. He actually at this point had like, you know, done those bombs, was like pretty fired up, I guess, about it. And then moved back in with his parents for a little while. His brother had also moved home at this point and was working at a foam cutting factory where their father worked. So David was a supervisor, his brother, and Ted came back home and was like, oh, I'll start working at this factory too, and started working there for a little while. Mm-hmm. Things actually went surprisingly well for a minute because Ted had a crush on his 29-year-old supervisor, Ellen Tarmichael.
Oh, God.
Okay, woman in power.
Oh, I'm worried about Ellen.
Oh, yeah, you should be. Miss Tarmichael said that about 4 weeks after Ted began working at the factory as a press operator, he asked her on a date, and they had dinner at a suburban restaurant. 2 weeks after that, they went out to pick apples and then went to his parents' house where they baked a pie.
Oh, so this woman's like dating him.
She went on 2 dates with him. And then at this point, she said, this is a quote, "It was on that occasion that I informed Ted that I did not wish to see him further on a social basis because I felt we did not have much in common besides our employment."
Oh.
An absolutely reasonable response.
Makes sense.
Because you are a normal-ass adult woman who has decided that this isn't a strong match. God bless. Had a nice time. We're going to move on with our lives.
Yep.
The end. He doesn't take it well.
You don't say.
He did not take it well. He did not take it well at all. This poor lady. So apparently he started smearing her at the factory. He kept writing like these really crude poems about her and distributing them around. And this is like in the 70s or whatever, the late 70s, the early 80s. So HR is just like, listen, just grab her ass. Like, can you please stop? Can you please stop?
That we know about.
Yes. And then he takes it a step further. He was super focused on getting revenge on her. And gets in her car at one point to wait for her with plans to murder her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And apparently he like psyched himself out and ended up not doing it, but he wrote about it, I guess, later on.
Oh, wow.
But this bitch almost got murdered by this guy.
Christ.
And here's the thing. This is the problem with incels. It's like she tried to be like normal and good to this man, like went on a couple dates with him, like gave it like a real fair shake. Sounds from this perspective that like things just didn't work out. And she expected to be able to move forward like an adult and then almost got murdered.
Yeah.
What, dude?
I know. There's no like appeasing them.
There's no winning. It's really unfortunate because like this thing that they're so upset about, like it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy of like, hey, maybe you're scaring the shit out of women. You're scaring the shit out of women.
Oh, God.
She actually seems like a pretty cool lady too, because she refused to do interviews about it afterwards, and then eventually called a press conference because people were hounding her. Like obviously things escalate, right?
Yeah.
And in the press conference, she said that she wanted to just settle everything once and for all, tell everybody everything about this, that she had been offered substantial sums of money for an interview, including one offer of 10 grand, which back then was like $1 billion.
Yeah.
And had declined because she believed it was inappropriate to profit from the tragedy of others.
It's a good.
This is a
lady
good
right
lady.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a good lady who was just like, fucking worst dates ever.
Yeah, that is some worst date horror stories. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a show I was watching called like Who the Fuck Did I Marry? And it's people that like marry people that end up to be like serial killers or whatever the fuck. And this lady she didn't marry him, but just like, who am I dating?
Yeah. Even make one
World's
apple pie.
worst dates.
Worst date ever. Oh, this poor lady. Anyway, so now David, his brother, is the supervisor, and he's like, holy shit, are you trying to murder one of the women
Oh my
who
God.
works here? I think you're fired. I think that's actually, turns out, even this is the early 80s, there is a line, and it's that.
You should have just fucked her.
You should have just fucked her.
Should have just openly raped her in front of everyone that works here. You'd still have a job. In
That'd
fact,
be-
you'd get promoted.
You'd be promoted. Collaborates well with others. Strong negotiation skills.
Yeah. Creative positioning.
Doesn't take no for an answer. Yikes. Yikes. Oh, God. So anyway, David fires Ted, and this isn't great because now Ted is like, my brother has also like betrayed me. Ted, at this point, like, it's you, buddy. Like, I feel bad for, again, this is like, we've talked about this earlier. Like, you feel bad for the kid.
Yeah.
The 15-year-old who's getting tortured by the CIA. But like, homie, like, at a certain point, you got to get your shit together.
Yes.
I don't know. So he moves back to his cabin in Montana. He goes through, like, he's pissed. He sends another bomb to Northwestern because that's like his coping mechanism at this point.
Oh my God.
When I get stressed, I just send bombs to Northwestern University. They're like, we really hate that this is like this guy's
That's
thing.
like his version of like when we get stressed, we like drink 2 more glasses of wine than we should.
Exactly. Like, that's like, it makes it actually sound not too bad to have an extra glass of red wine, huh?
Right.
Maybe that's not so bad.
Maybe
I
that's
could
not
be
so
sending
bad.
bombs to Northwestern.
Yeah.
Could be the alternative. And then he decides that like that was pretty fun. I'm gonna fucking keep doing that for sure, and sends a ton more bombs. There's a lot of them. I'll kind of like really quickly summarize them, but the overall numbers on it is he ended up killing 3 people and injuring 24.
Oh boy.
There's a bunch of different themes, and a lot of people are like, he was targeting like specific people who were like against, who were promoting industrialization or something. Like, people really tried to take his manifesto. I think he's just a nutcase, dude.
Yeah.
With like a complex and like really coming out for revenge.
Right.
I do think we'll talk more about the manifesto in a moment. There's some stuff in there that's like, it's kind of fair, but like that doesn't mean you can bomb people.
Well,
I didn't think I needed to say that. But here we are.
So is his whole thing that he just like was he like a environmentalist? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, essentially, but like mostly he just hates women.
Okay.
And like a bit of an incel, and
Yeah.
just didn't feel
well, who
accepted by
doesn't, I guess?
society. And I know, right? Yeah. Anyway, so like a quick summary of the people he bombed in 1979. He sent one to the cargo hold of an American Airlines flight, and a Boeing on a Boeing 727 flying from Chicago to DC. A faulty timing mechanism prevented the bomb from exploding, but it released smoke, which caused the pilots to carry out an emergency landing. So he tried to bomb a plane and fucking kill a plane full of people.
Wow.
Like, holy shit.
Oh my God.
He failed on that one. He then sent one to the president of United Airlines,
Whoa.
and he got it and received cuts and burns over most of his body from it.
Jesus
imagine?
Christ. No.
Like, it's crazy. In 1981, a package bearing the return address of a Brigham Young University professor of electrical engineering was discovered in the hallway at the University of Utah. It was defused by a bomb squad, but he was trying to get a professor of electrical engineering. I'm sure he had something on him. Then he did another one to a professor of computer science at Vanderbilt. That one was opened by the guy's secretary, and she received injuries to her face and arms. The next 2 bombs targeted people at Cal Berkeley. The first one was engineering professor, something crazy. And then 3 years later, a graduate student and captain in the United States Air Force, and he lost vision in an eye and 4 fingers.
Damn.
Then another one sent to the Boeing company. He really hated airlines.
Yeah,
And that one was diffused. And then another one to, like, there's so many of them. Professor James McConnell and a research assistant who were both severely injured after they opened it. I don't even know what they were looking, probably something with engineering, let's be real. Then there was another one disguised as a piece of lumber, which got a guy at a computer store. He didn't like computers. Another one at a computer store. So multiple computer stores. Then he mailed a bomb to the home of Charles Epstein from San Francisco. He lost several fingers opening it. Then another one to another computer science professor. I told you there's a lot of these who lost. The guy lost sight. Then a Burstyn Marsteller executive was killed after opening one sent to him in New Jersey. Kaczynski wrote in a letter to the New York Times that he had sent the bomb because of Monster's work repairing the public image of Exxon after the Exxon Valdez oil spill.
Wow.
And that's the thing is, like, he has like random moments like that where you're like, yeah, that was a pretty fucked up thing for that guy to do. But like, you can't mail bombs to people.
Right. He's like the Dexter of environmentalists.
Yes. But also, like, really, are you real? Like, he like combined just a bunch of his passions. One, scaring the shit out of women. Two, revenge for people who've, like, you know, betrayed him or like tortured him for 3 years. Looking at you, CIA. If it had only been CIA operatives, I'd be like, that's fair.
That makes
actually, this entire thing is fine. Get him out of jail. Like, and then he did the president of a timber industry lobbying group, and he ended up getting the president of it. And then a geneticist at MIT was receiving a threatening letter. Point is, a lot of people, and they weren't like. People are like, oh, he sent like random mail bombs. Like, not really. They really seemed like they were fairly targeted, and I think he had a lot of time to think about who he wanted to go. How crazy that was happening.
Yeah,
we don't talk about this enough. The fact that I like loosely knew about it's kind of like wild.
Well, this country, there's a fucking tragedy every 15 seconds, so it's like
true. It's hard to pay attention.
It's crazy.
This part,
I don't know what is wrong with us.
This part like killed me. It made me giggle, to be honest. So at this point, he has got his manifesto, and homeboy has been drafting. He's been cranking.
He's trying to get another dissertation out there.
Yeah, he's like, I'm getting another A+. Oh, poor guy.
I know.
He really just wants approval. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so sad. Anyway, so he wrote The Industrial Society and Its Future, and in June 1995, 2 packages arrived in the mailrooms of the Washington Post and the New York Times with copies of it. And a note that said, from an anonymous sender who said he was the mail bomber and he would kill again unless the newspapers published the manifestos in their entirety within 90 days.
Wow.
Can you fucking imagine getting that package?
No.
That is a really good way to get published. He's like, bitch, are you gonna reject my dissertation this time? As I will literally bomb people. And they were like, Jesus Christ. Like,
this feels like the Axeman of New Orleans. Have you ever heard that story?
No, I don't.
Oh my God. So there was like, I think it was in 1910s or 1920s. And there was a guy who just like fucking loved jazz, I guess. He just like was obsessed with jazz. And he said he was going around murdering people with axes. And then so like the newspapers were talking about him, whatever. And they said he was like, on this day, if every house in New Orleans has to be playing live jazz or have like a jazz record on, and any house that doesn't, I'm gonna kill them. And it was like a real thing,
like the angel of death.
Yes,
like the lamb's blood.
Yeah, and he
what
killed,
is it? What?
And he killed like I think mostly Italian grocers. So
he did kill people.
Oh yeah, he killed tons of people. And so I think it was probably like a mob related thing, but it's just like really weird that he made everybody listen to jazz. Like force them to listen to jazz.
It's weird also that New Orleans is still into jazz.
Oh yeah, I think they got it started. They were like, actually, this guy's onto something.
That's actually not bad.
Which is funny because I hate jazz.
You do?
I'm like, give me a melody. Enough of this like skibidi bop. I'm like, shut the hell up.
I don't mind jazz.
You're just making noise.
You know, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, the New York Times and Washington Post are like, what do we do? Whoa. We certainly need to call the government.
Yes.
We absolutely need to call someone here. And they do that. They talked to...
The CIA's like, this kid again.
They're like, the fucking... yeah, you torture someone for 3 years. They just won't let it go. They just won't let it go. He said it was fine.
He liked it.
We didn't see any issue. Anyway, the FBI was like, they actually was like, you need to have this be published because we're hopeful that someone is going to recognize his speech pattern or like writing pattern based on this like
That's
massive sample. But like fucking crazy that like they did it. They actually ended up running it in the Washington Post because this is a while back, and in the 90s, like the printing presses they had were able to run. Why do I know this random level of detail? But they were able to add in an 8-page insert that was clear that it wasn't just part of the newspaper.
Oh, okay.
Because like they didn't want like people to read the Washington Post to be like, hey, honey, it's kind of a weird article the Washington Post published. Did you see this? They had to be very clear, like, hey, I know this isn't our normal thing, but this is a manifesto. We don't usually have terrorism manifestos as part of our, Tuesday paper, but today we had to. So they did that.
Okay.
And the New York Times helped fund it. That was their contribution.
Did they say like?
I think they put like an excerpt and were like, "Hey, you remember how you've heard about the Unabomber for the last like fucking 10 years?
Yeah,
he wrote this and wanted us to publish it, and like, it's just we're not going to, let him bomb on our behalf or whatever because we didn't publish it. So here it is, enjoy." So they did, which is bananas.
That's crazy.
What a marketing campaign! Let me tell you that. That is a way to get your ideas out there.
Oh yeah.
It was 35,000 words long. They really emphasized that in almost every article I read. I guess that's a lot. And they laid a very detailed blame on technology for destroying human-scale communities. Kaczynski contends that the Industrial Revolution harmed the human race by developing into a socio-political order that subjugates human needs beneath its own. This system, he wrote, destroys nature and suppresses individual freedom. In short, humans adapt to machines rather than vice versa, resulting in a society hostile to human potential. He's
onto something.
He's onto something. And he wrote this before the fucking internet, dude.
That's
like
crazy.
Right when the internet came out.
Yeah.
I was like, buddy, it's going to get so much worse. Like
so much worse.
I cannot express to you how much worse it's about to get. He wrote this before Instagram.
It's literally the worst thing that's ever happened.
It's crazy. He's not, and that's the wildest part about this is like, he's not wrong on some of these ideas. And that's why he actually has like this strange reputation. Like a lot of people call him like Uncle Ted and like him online.
Ooh. Don't do that.
I know. And then there's people who are like, guys, he's a terrorist. Like, even though there's some things in here that like appeal, it's weird because they appeal to far right and far left people.
Yeah.
Is like, if you have an alternate way of thinking, like some of these things will resonate with you. But at the end of the day, like I think humans are complex. Like there are some areas that you can have decent ideas that do resonate and you can still be a terrorist.
And you can still be bombing people.
Who is a objectively bad person.
Wow.
Because he killed a lot of people.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay. I don't know if for the record, guys, we have to figure this out. He also hated women and wrote about that extensively.
Okay, good. Do we got any quotes on that or no?
No, I didn't feel like reading this whole thing. But like, if you guys really want, let me know, and I'll go dig some up.
Okay.
I'll go. What if I read it and I'm like, actually,
Laura starts bombing places.
Take that whole episode back. I'm like, Northwestern University.
Boom.
I've heard it feels really good sending you some packages. That poor college. Okay. Anyway, he got caught as a result, exactly like the FBI thought he would. And this is actually pretty ironic. The person who recognized his writing style was his brother's wife.
Oh, I think I remember this from documentaries.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So his brother ended up being the one who worked with the FBI to get him caught.
Wow.
But it was because his wife was like, holy shit, dude, this is your brother.
And she probably also was like, your brother's crazy. He lives in the woods. He's super smart. He knows how to make a bomb.
I cannot imagine how much shit she must have talked to her husband about this guy just being like,
oh my God.
And another thing. And I'm pretty sure when he tried to kill that lady at the factory, dude, I had a problem with it.
You know how like there's all those memes that are like, oh yeah, sex is cool, but has like someone who you always thought was a piece of shit revealed themselves to be a piece of shit. Like this was the ultimate. She must have been like,
ultimate moment.
thank you. Like, Thank
I
you.
have been saying that he's a terrorist. Something's off with this guy.
And the vibes were bad, dude.
Oh, it kills me. It is also pretty ironic after all the shit he talked about women that
Yeah.
a woman was what got him caught.
It is pretty good.
Sorry, Ted.
I feel like men are very quick to like poo-poo women's intuition, but it's usually right. Like if there's a reason my gut is screaming at me, like
have a
get
good
away
one.
from this person, get away from this person. There's a fucking reason.
I'll be honest, my gut's terrible.
Really?
It's not good. I've got like a man's gut over here.
Yeah, you got a man's gut.
What's wrong with me? Guys, I don't know. I made some bad judgment calls. I can make some good judgment calls too, but I've certainly had a couple misses. Anyway, so he got arrested by the CIA after his brother worked with them. So that's a big, he was like, hey, fuck you, dude. And he was like, well, you shouldn't be mail bombing people. I don't know, personally have a problem with that.
Yeah.
His brother sounds like he's actually like that's a tough position.
Yeah.
And his brother actually went with the CIA and he was like, I'll help you catch him, but I require that you not seek the death penalty. And then the CIA was like, we will totally do that. And then they caught him and they sought the death penalty.
Of course.
And the brother was like, are you fucking kidding me, guys?
The CIA's just been after this family the whole time.
Yeah. It might have been the FBI, but like, I don't know. In my mind, they're like, it's all the same crew.
Yeah.
You know? Sought the death penalty. And actually, David ended up going on to be like a very big, vocal, outspoken person against the death penalty and like doing a lot of like work against it. Ironically, his brother didn't get it. Didn't end up getting the death penalty.
Didn't get it and ended up killing himself.
Yep. Ended up killing himself. This was actually kind of interesting. So he had gone the day before he got arrested. There was this big mathematics conference where the fucking math.
I know.
The very end. Honestly, I'm kind of glad he got to go do one last thing before he got locked up for the rest of his life. So I guess there was this big problem called Fermat's last theorem, where in 1637, Pierre de Fermat, one of the world's greatest mathematicians, had presented this theory that perplexed people for 350 years about some fucking proof.
Is he about to fucking solve it?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay.
But he did do a presentation where this Dr. Wiles came and presented on his proof of the theorem. So this 350-year-old problem was getting solved at Cal Berkeley. And a bunch of people went to go watch this presentation. This was like big news for the math world.
Yeah.
And this guy wrote into this, he said that his dad had gone to this presentation and noticed a man in the back who appeared to be homeless, absolutely filthy, unshaven, and obviously lacking any sort of recent bathing that was sitting at the back of the room. They thought that he had just kind of like gotten in, like snuck in. It was a homeless guy. It's the Bay Area, whatever. So didn't really think anything of it. Then the next day or whatever, the press released the fact that they had caught the Unabomber, and he was like, "Holy shit, that was the guy!"
Oh my god!
So he had gone in to watch this guy prove this math problem, solve it, and then the next day he got caught for
holy shit
being the Unabomber.
Wow,
crazy, right?
That is insane.
So anyway, he gets arrested. He goes to jail. There's this whole like back and forth. If you really care, we could probably do more on this. You let us know if you'd like it. But I didn't go into a ton of detail in the trial because it was, I don't know, pretty standard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He actually didn't want to claim insanity, but I think they ended up going with the insanity. He actually asked for one lawyer, and then they kicked that lawyer out. And then he got a court-appointed lawyer, and that lawyer went with the insanity defense.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting. And then he ended up getting jail for life, or actually like multiple life sentences, and then killed himself at 81, and we don't know how.
Wow.
Maybe by the time this comes out, we will know how. But as of this moment, we do not.
Damn.
Wild, right?
That is wild.
And that's Ted.
That's Ted.
Daddy Incel.
Mathematician. Yeah, Daddy Incel.
It is kind of crazy, though, that, like, the CIA stuff, like... So he spent 3 years, 1 hour a week, getting told that he was a piece of shit. It shows the power of things like therapy.
Yeah.
It's really important how you talk to yourself. And if you do acid while you're... And the government is the one talking to you, that's an extreme version of it. But it fucked him up.
Yeah.
I really think that's what caused him to really go down this horrible rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
So take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself. Don't let the CIA drug you and take you into back rooms.
I had one note from this whole thing. Don't let the CIA drug you and torture you for 3 years.
If you can do your best job at that, you can do anything.
Mm-hmm. I would recommend. That's the Risque Business News recommendation from this pod.
The CIA, we should just do, honestly, now we're just turning into a conspiracy fucking podcast.
I don't even care. I'm into it.
They've done so much fucked up shit that I'm like, we should just do like an episode of loose conspiracies against the CIA.
So down.
And
Again,
immediately get blocked on every fucking social platform.
That'll be just for YouTube. YouTube would be like, yeah, we're fine with that.
Yeah. We got way crazier shit.
We love it, actually. TikTok would be like, no, we cannot deal with this.
Yeah. Or actually,
anyway,
China would be like, yes, put it out.
Boost.
Yeah.
I hope you guys liked that. Originally, I was just gonna like briefly cover the fact that he had died, and then I was like, I Fetty Whopped it.
Yeah, you Fetty Whopped.
Or I dove way deeper into it than I anticipated.
No, that was fun. I mean,
crazy story, right?
It is a crazy story, and I love, like, I fucking love shit like this.
Me too.
Someone is absolutely insane, and then you have to like unravel how they got there, and it was diaper rashes all along. But
they're like the diaper rash.
If I have a kid and that thing is a diaper rash, I'm
actually
I
am gonna think about it.
Yeah.
I'm for sure gonna be like, oh no, we're going Ted Kaczynski on it. You know, like this is not gonna be good.
Yeah, so I can't tell if I'm gonna be up all night or I'm gonna crash, but I'm gonna take some NyQuil after this.
I love
think.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, we'll be back. We're gonna have more stories from May being in Australia and other stuff. But until then, enjoy your lives. Like and subscribe. 3 friends, 5 stars. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.